Travel and Things, in association with Rugged Wear, Real People, Real Clothing, Real Solutions, presents In Conversation With. I'm your host, David Batsoffen, and today my guest from EcoTraining, all the way in Nelspruit, is Anton Lategan. Anton, how are you doing?
Very good, David. Thank you. I'm happy to be on the show with you. Thanks for having me.
You are in Nelspruit. You're not in Hoedspruit today, are you?
No, I'm in Pridelands in the bush. In Hoedspruit, yeah.
I couldn't have got it more wrong if I tried. Anton, EcoTraining. Let's start with that. I know that you have a passion for the bush and a passion for EcoTraining. How has the last 2 years been for the company?
Dave, look, EcoTraining has been around for a long time, and we started in 1993 in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, out of a few well-known lodges like Londolozi, Sabi, at the time when South Africa went through political change. I think a lot of people don't understand how unique EcoTraining is, similar to a group called Conscorp CC Africa, which became And Beyond, as a model of lodges and sustainable land management and sustainable ecotourism economies evolved out of largely the Londolozi model into Pinda, Ngala, Singita, lodges like that. So too, EcoTraining was formed at the same time in the Sabi Sands to basically pollinate professional guiding standards out of the top lodges in South Africa. That's how we formed in the early days of the new democratic South Africa. So we're very proud of those roots in that the academic and practical and humanity approach EcoTraining takes towards the industry was learned from the best and applied and expanded into the industry. So that was 28 years ago. And, I think that foundation set us up to have resilience and stability over the last 2 years. Prior to COVID, probably 23 months ago, we were training in, I think, 9 venues in 5 countries with 31 trainers simultaneously. So we were standing in quite a strong position. But during the last couple of years, we've definitely felt the pressure, as everyone has, with travel restrictions, and we basically regularized and consolidated to do what we could according to what the law and travel allowed. But we're okay. We're back to running in the Masai Mara in Kenya. We're running in Mashatu in Botswana, Pufuri in the Kruger Park, the only private training camp in the Kruger National Park, Salati Game Reserve, Karongwe Game Reserve, and Pridelands here near Hoedspruit. And in fact, we've been training in Pongola as well. So we've definitely bounced back and are feeling positive.
Okay. Where about in Pongola?
We use a property that belongs to Dr. Heinz Kors. It's part of the White Elephant Lodge property. There's a facility overlooking Jacini, and it's lovely. You've got on the eastern side, you've got massive water body of Lake Jacini or Jacini Dam, and all the aquatic and amphibian organisms there are absolutely beautiful. And then, of course, the lake shores and the beautiful hills there with all the abundance of life. So on a recent course a couple of months ago, our students on course witnessed black rhinos mating while they were taking a walk. So quite special stuff.
Hang on a second. Who was taking the walk? The rhinos or the students? Because how can rhinos walk and mate at the same time? English.
So it's actually a very necessary part of the foreplay in rhino mechanics.
Sometimes I love this language in which we converse. You can mess with it quite severely. Talk us through the various camps, because each of the camps that you have, and I've visited all of them with the local ones in the Lowveld. I will be in Pongola shortly, and maybe I can take a detour and go and visit the camp there. But that aside, each of the camps is in a different biosphere, or at least a unique biosphere to that particular camp. Do your students then move from camp to camp so they get the total experience?
Yes, David, that's the deliberate strategy we have to try and give students the best grounding they can get. I'm sure we all know South Africa is celebrated for many things, biodiversity of cultures and biodiversity in the ecosystem, in the wild ecosystem too. And if we are to prepare and inspire people about our heritage, we certainly would like them to learn a wide foundation of knowledge. And it's taken years to develop the footprint we have, but it's also we're very selective as to where we operate, why we operate there, and what the unique learning opportunities are for each region. And I think it's known, if I may say, with humility, that our students get a good base off a wide range of exposure. And it's also exciting and interesting, I think in terms of learning, it's good to have a wide field of knowledge, but we're all adventurous creatures, I think, and the human spirit often gets maybe contained in the modern world. And it's lovely to not just go into the field or into the bush, but to have different territories and habitats and ecotypes to explore. And I think that further creates a culture of curiosity, which is important in the work and in our time, as we want to train guides properly, but we also want to inspire a generation of environmentally conscious citizens. And how best can we inspire people is to show them beautiful things and immerse them in the wilderness.
I love that culture of curiosity. I've never heard it before.
I borrowed that from my colleague Alex van der Heever. He's a very articulate man, and I actually love that saying. I think it applies very well to training trackers and training guides. I guess it's a good principle for life.
Yeah.
But in a way, if you don't have curiosity in the bush, you might end up in a few challenges.
Talking about that and curiosity, how do your international students find like their first few days in the bush? Because it must be a huge, not only a culture shock, but to come from Italy or Germany and be all of a sudden you're driving a Land Rover down 2 tracks with giraffe and maybe lions, and how do they deal with this?
David, it's a very good point. There's 2 streams that are in parallel to each other here that I hope I'm not contradicting myself. But the one stream is people come from diverse backgrounds, diverse cultures, diverse ages, diverse levels of knowledge and experience in the wilderness. So for one, you might come from a faraway land, but you might actually be very in tune immediately. I think I'm quite controversial in this, is that I believe in the natural person that exists in every one of us. So sometimes people come out of developed countries and very developed cities, and they're not out of place. Some of them find their feet very well. And I think some of the urban modern environments have pricked and stimulated the natural faculties of human beings in other ways. So then they come with that awareness and they plug in and they land on their feet, whereas other people are perhaps exposed to different things as they're growing up, and the step from wherever they're coming from into what we expose them to is significant and even challenging. So I used to 20 odd years ago when I started have this idea that if somebody came from a faraway land that they might not know much about what's going on, and then I got taught a lesson quite quickly. I'm not meaning to be PC. I really believe in this, is never to come with any preconception. The incredible abilities of humankind are just below the surface, and I'm not one who is a proponent on thinking that a connection to the natural world is the reserve of certain cultures. I know, like the San indigenous people of different regions of the world, Sami up in in Lapland, etc., are living closer to the natural system. But it's interesting, people can come out of a city and switch on, and that's really our privilege. So I think one of our roles is to be the introducer, to be the guide. And I mean that metaphorically, not just in terms of taking a safari, but to hold people's hands and allow them to step into the wilderness with a feeling of safety and security and understanding, and then not take center stage. Our role is to stand side by side, and sometimes in front and sometimes behind people, to allow them to grow into that intimacy with nature. And whatever your background, every one of us belongs in a natural system. So we take that very seriously, but we don't want to impose on people, and we don't want to make assumptions. Everyone belongs connected in nature.
What courses are EcoTraining currently offering students?
David, we've got a wide range of courses. Back in the day, we started off with a basic field guiding course, which eventually became the framework of FAGASA Level 1. A lot of the training providers that eventually followed what we were doing all started with a 28-day course. And it's quite funny how not many people know that it was a 28-day course, because we started with a 30-day course in the Sabi Sands in 1993. Then we decided to extract first aid, because you could do that anywhere in the world, really.
Yeah.
We rather spend time in the bush when in the bush. So we cut 2 days of basic first aid from 30 days, went down to 28 days. And then for about 15 years, that was the standard of guide training courses amongst anyone who started a course in any of the companies. Quite funny. So the evolution of courses, we've got, starting from short courses, we've got 1-week courses, which are dedicated focus on, for example, basic birding or basic tracking, or an EcoQuest course, which is a general immersion and basic understanding of ecological principles. So the benefits of those courses is a lot of people haven't got more than 7 days available. People want to learn about the bush. They might have careers, or they might not have enough time to travel, but they want to learn more than just sitting on a passive indulgent safari. And they get to walk, they get to learn. And I think on the EcoQuest, one of the things I'm very proud of is we do a lot of groups from China. We call it the Chinese EcoQuest. And we've trained nearly, I think it's about 780, 770 Chinese students between the Masai Mara and our South African camps on what I call the Chinese Champions EcoQuest, where we get into their hearts and minds and inspire them about issues of sustainability through teaching the principles of interrelated ecology, to remind modern man, Chinese urban citizens, that we are part of nature, and that what we do in this world in our time has got consequences, and that it's not the domain of Greenpeace or UNESCO to save the planet. In fact, it fits squarely on everybody's shoulders every day. It's the behavior of the normal person that will make all the difference. But if we can inspire a generation and a culture like the Chinese at scale, then we're making good impact. And I'm very proud about that. So some of the shorter courses, while they might not be formal qualifications, I think some of the biggest impact we've made for the environment and in our time has been through reaching the ordinary man or woman and inspiring them to change the way humanity behaves. So then we go up to 2-week courses. Sorry, Dave, have you still got me? My screen went out for a bit.
No, I've still got you.
Okay.
I've just put your EcoTraining slide up so people know who we're talking to.
Okay, jolly good. And then we've got 2-week courses, a tracking and trails course. We've got a 2-week EcoQuest. We do a lot of custom courses that are specifically designed to work on the basics of ecological principles, but build them into a particular group's interests or needs. So we do a bit of custom evolution, tailor-made courses, if you like. Then our 4-week course, there's a course which we call Safari Guide, which is the old FAGASA 1. It covers all the subjects, but it doesn't cover them in as much depth. So that's also for people who haven't got the longer time to come and do the 55-day course. We've got online courses now. We've got various specialist online courses, from birding to nature enthusiast to FAGASA level 1, which you can do from anywhere in the world. And then instead of doing a 55-day FAGASA level 1 course, you can come and do a 35-day practical coupled with the online courses. And that achieves enough notional hours to conform with the requirements of the qualification. So in order to do a FAGASA level 1, which they're now calling apprentice guide, you could either do the 55-day practical straight, or you do the online lectures and then do a 35-day practical, because the combined hours reaches the standard required. We've got a 4-week trails guide course, which involves a lot of encounters, viewing potentially dangerous animals, logging encounters and logging hours. We've got some phenomenal reserves that we operate in. Of course, we've got this 24,000 hectares of Kruger Park up in the most beautiful part of Kruger National Park, between Mufuri and the Limpopo River, and it's filled with buffaloes and elephants. And we walk amongst giants, we walk amongst fever tree forest, we walk amongst baobabs, and we walk amongst big herds of elephants and sycamore figs along these wonderful, wonderful landscapes, and log these encounters on our trails guide courses there, and in Mashatu in Botswana, etc. And then, of course, we've got our very popular professional field guide course, which is the 1-year course, which we move people from one venue to another. On a typical 1-year course, the students will enjoy 4 or 5 different venues in 2 different countries between Botswana and South Africa. It's a one of a kind. There's no other course in South Africa that offers as much diversity, as many venues, the expertise of a team of probably 15 trainers over the period of the year. And then students get attached to a practical at a lodge or a game reserve, where they learn hospitality skills, management skills, and then round off their year with a consolidation and graduation at the end of the year. And then, in my opinion, with no disrespect to anyone, I think that's the strongest option in South Africa and in Africa at the moment for anyone wanting to go into the industry.
Is there an upper and lower limit age-wise to students that you'll take?
David, we, on our normal courses, I would say, from 17 upwards, somebody would be mature enough to listen to instructions, to have the kind of self-discipline and maturity that may be required to live in an unfenced tented camp amongst big 5 animals, because that's another thing that is quite particular about EcoTraining. We're not one of those groups who live in buildings in fenced off areas. We live in canvas under trees, surrounded by elephants, and that's really what it's about. Is if you're going to teach people about the environment, you should live in the environment.
Yeah. And
rather than, I have a saying that I've used for many years at EcoTraining: we're reconnecting citizens of the natural world. We're not creating voyeurs of nature. And I think we have to watch out with all the media that's out there, TV, radio, social media, that, you end up going on a course where you spend a lot of time staring at screens in air-conditioned environments. You may as well stay at home and watch TV, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's got its place, but there's nothing like nature. And that's where the reality truly exists. And so if we are to train and properly build a generation of professional guides, I certainly would like to be with somebody who actually understands and lives in that environment, rather than somebody who has academic knowledge who might not be able to make things happen on the ground,
Okay.
So,
and for the upper limit, I suppose it just depends on how fit they are. I mean, I've seen some lazy 60-year-olds and some very active 80-year-olds.
Yeah, we don't discriminate in any way on age or other. Our mission to reconnect people to nature is important for all people. If you imagine some professionals or retired people have dedicated their lives to making a living or raising a family or running a business or an organization, and you know how many people in the back of their minds and their hearts have always wanted to be in the bush.
Yeah.
Have always wanted to work in the bush. And while I think it's inevitable in this modern society that demands us to, buy houses and cars and live in this materialistic space, I think the heart and the soul always wants to connect with nature. And we take pride in giving people of any age, professionals or retired people, a chance to come and enjoy learning about the bush. And you'll be surprised, some of the more mature people actually, sorry, somebody calling. Are you still there?
I'm still here. Don't worry about me.
Somebody tried to call me. I'm on my
That's
side.
that's the only problem with talking on a phone is the calls tend to sort of want to interrupt. But anyway, you were saying, so you don't discriminate, and if they're capable of walking and if they're enjoying what they're doing, then they're welcome on the course.
They're welcome. And
yeah.
Also, Dave, on that point, I think, sorry, I didn't close my loop there. Sure. One of the things I really do promote is it is good for generations and people of diverse backgrounds to spend time together.
Correct.
Particularly in a beautiful natural place. So you can get mature people mentoring young people in an unguarded and constructive and beautiful environment. You can get older people, mature people who have been through many knocks in life, enjoying the company of young, inspired youth. And everybody feeds off the positive energy of each other, and friendships are made, and characters are built and supported. And we've even had people meet and get married following introductions on or meeting on courses. So it really is strongly about the human experience amongst each other while being in nature. So everyone is welcome.
We're going to come back with some contact details, but before I say thank you and goodbye, let's go to the marketplace and real people, real clothing, real solutions, rugged wear. If you're in the bush, you should be wearing their kit. Talking about EcoTraining with Anton Lategan this morning. Anton, in wrapping up, contact details for people that want to find out more.
David, thank you. So our company is EcoTraining. So the website is www.ecotraining.co.za. If people would like to email inquiries@EcoTraining, and we've got an office in Nelspruit and a team of people who are dedicated to helping people find what they're looking for. Thankfully, we've got a menu of different options and different venues. So if people want to dip their toe in the water and start off with a 1-week birding course, quite often they'll sign on then later for a bigger course. And, at one stage we had an American youngster come and do a 1-year course, and he liked it so much, his mother came and did a 1-year course afterwards from California. So nature has a way of getting into your heart.
Anton, thank you so much for being my guest on In Conversation With. It's always wonderful to chat to you.
David, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and all the best to you.